created a space just for you. Join our community online to learn more or to join our tribe. Visit us on our Instagram page or YouTube channel.
I think it's so important for us to really, truly, authentically, like, not care what people think.
Welcome to the Glam Bachelorette podcast. I am your podcast host, Maya Malan Get Right. The Glam Bachelorette is your hub for all things celebrating and centering the lives of single, child-free, striving, and successful women. This includes culture, politics, fashion, finance, travel, beauty, and everything in between. So if you like what you hear here, we invite you to join the TGB tribe by subscribing to our brand new mailing list over at our brand new 2025 official website. Yes, you heard that right. As of 2025, we have a new website. Check us out at theglambachelorette.com. Through our official website, you can also connect and follow us on YouTube at The Glam Bachelorette, on Instagram at The Glam Bachelorette, and on Twitter/X at The Glam Batch. Our official Glam Bachelorette membership packages are also now offered exclusively through our new official website. We are no longer using Patreon. This is a good thing because it allows us to bundle all membership perks through a special members-only portal. And as if this news was not amazing enough, we are thrilled to announce that the Glam Bachelorette official online store is now open. I repeat, the Glam Bachelorette official online store is now open. Yes, the online store features limited edition merch designed by the Glam Bachelorette and includes extra perks for our paid members. So head over to theglambachelorette.com, peruse the new website, sign up for our new mailing list, and become an official member. In today's video, we are going to discuss the bullying and shaming of women online. As you can imagine, I spend quite a good amount of time online, not just as a podcaster, but as a creative person that finds inspiration and ideas from all of what I experience, and some of that comes from the online universe. And as a beauty enthusiast, I often look at images of women, whether it's clothes, style, features, makeup, nails, or hair, etc. I enjoy viewing and sometimes complimenting different women on their style. But unfortunately, in doing this, I do also see nasty and negative comments under images or videos of women. These comments typically pertain to a woman's age, style, body, or sometimes even her race or ethnicity in a demeaning and derogatory way. And while we would perhaps love to assume that these comments are coming from men, many of them are coming from other women. Bullying, we understand, is very wrong because we teach kids that it's wrong, and we spend a significant amount of time on anti-bullying campaigns in 2025. But when it comes to women, there is seemingly a no rules, no holds barred approach to commentary. For some reason, society seems to think that it's okay to judge, demean, degrade, or disrespect women. And again, it's usually based on something related to a woman's appearance. So in today's chat, I'm turning a light on the ugliness that women often perpetuate against other women, its history, why it happens, and what you can do about it if you see it happening or if it's happening to you. So, believe it or not, shaming other women based on looks, style, or age has really deep historical roots, okay? This is not a new concept. It's tied to patriarchal systems, cultural norms, and internalized misogyny. And unfortunately, since that time, it has only evolved from ancient honor shame traditions to modern beauty standards and ageism. So let's go back to ancient and traditional roots. So back in the day, during ancient times, many societies placed unrealistic values on women's bodies because women's bodies symbolized family, pride, or community honor. At that time, a woman's appearance, modesty, or behavior could bring shame to her entire family. So this often led women themselves to police each other's clothing, sexuality, and demeanors. In essence, women were used as symbols of cultural progress or backwardness, and their choice of dress and behavior became battlegrounds for identity, with women sometimes enforcing these norms on each other. Now, let's fast forward to the Victorian era of history, right? And at that time, women were still being judged harshly for deviating from rigid standards of femininity, whether too flashy or too plain. Around this time, gossip and ridicule often came from other women, which reinforced societal expectations. And still, in the 20th century, we have now the influx of beauty culture and the rise of fashion magazines and a focus on Hollywood celebrities. This has only amplified competition among women. Terms like slut shaming or prude shaming in modern times reflect how women have historically been criticized both for embracing and rejecting sexuality, with women often internalizing unrealistic standards promoted by media and then shaming other women for failing to meet them, which pretty much perpetuates the cycles of judgment. And we can add older women to this, right? When we talk about ageism, older women have long been marginalized, depicted as witches, spinsters, or crones. Feminist scholars note that women writers have resisted these stereotypes, but age shaming still persists. In today's age, wrinkles, gray hair, or weight gain are still often stigmatized, with age shaming leading to anxiety and depression, especially when women compare themselves to peers who appear younger or better preserved. And there's a really good movie that speaks to this, starring actresses Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep, called Death Becomes Her. I'm not going to give away the plot for those that haven't seen it, but basically it pokes fun at the extremes that some women will go to when competing with peers in terms of who appears younger or better preserved. And shame is even intergenerational and internalized shame. Shame can be passed down through generations, with mothers sometimes criticizing daughters' looks or choices, reflecting their own internalized pressures. Women may shame each other to align with patriarchal expectations, believing it protects them socially. For example, criticizing another woman's clothing as inappropriate or desperate reinforces restrictive norms. And adding into this modern shifts when we talk about social media platforms, because social media platforms amplify both solidarity and shaming, which is what led me to create today's video. Pick me culture, influencer aesthetics, and viral callouts show how women still shame each other over looks, style, or age. The feminist and body positivity movements are challenging these cycles through encouraging women to celebrate diversity in age, style, and appearance, but in my opinion, it's not happening on a wide enough scale to truly disrupt the centuries of internalized misogyny, unfortunately. So in summary, women shaming other women is not a natural or instinctive rivalry, but a learned behavior rooted in, again, patriarchal systems. From ancient honor codes to Instagram aesthetics, it reflects how women have been positioned as symbols of virtue, beauty, or decline, and how those pressures get internalized and enforced within female communities. So that was sort of just a general summary of a little bit of the history as to why it's happening and when it started to happen. But now I'm going to offer a more concrete timeline of how women shaming other women over looks, style, or age has evolved across eras. So starting with the Victorian era, 1837 to 1901, women were expected to wear restrictive corsets, petticoats, and layers. Those who embraced reformist clothing, like quote-unquote bloomers, were mocked and even arrested for indecency. Women themselves often ridiculed others for being unladylike or improper, again reinforcing patriarchal dress codes. This era cemented the idea that women's value was tied to appearance and conformity. In the 1950s, the housewife ideal became a thing. The archetype of the perfectly groomed housewife in pearls and heels became a cultural symbol. Women judged each other harshly. Those who didn't maintain spotless homes or polished appearances were seen as failures. Many housewives reported anxiety and depression, partly due to constant comparison and pressure. In the 1990s to 2000s, here comes mean girl culture. Popular culture glamorized girl-on-girl bullying, gossip, and exclusion. Rosalind Wiseman's Queen Bees and Wannabes, 2002, documented how girls weaponized looks and style against each other. The film Mean Girls, 2004, satirized this dynamic, but also cemented it in cultural memory. The trope of the queen bee normalized shaming peers for clothing, attractiveness, or popularity. And again, social media and age shaming. Platforms amplify comparison culture, Instagram and TikTok. Women face scrutiny over wrinkles, weight, or premature aging. Actress Catherine Zeta-Jones was recently attacked online for her appearance at age 56, sparking debates about double standards. Viral posts by Gen Z invite judgment of whether someone looks their age, reinforcing harsh beauty standards. And Instagram has been shown to worsen self-esteem among teen girls, fueling cycles of peer shaming. And again, there's a lot of continuity here across eras. Women have internalized patriarchal standards and enforce them on each other. What counts as shameful changes with the era, right? We have Victorian bloomers, 1950s messy homes, 1990s popularity hierarchies, and then today it's wrinkles. Feminist, body positivity, and age positivity movements challenge these cycles, encouraging solidarity instead of judgment. But in short, women shaming other women is not innate rivalry, but a learned behavior shaped by culture. So, why do women bully other women? Why do women willingly participate? Women often participate in bullying other women over age, style, or looks because of internalized misogyny, social competition, and cultural pressures that reward conformity to narrow beauty standards. This behavior, again, is less about natural rivalry and more about learned survival strategies in patriarchal systems. So these are the core reasons as to why women bully other women. Number one, internalized misogyny. Many women absorb patriarchal values that equate worth with youth, beauty, and sexual appeal. When these values are internalized, women may project their own insecurities onto others, criticizing peers to reinforce the same standards that oppress them. Number two, social competition and scarcity mindset. Historically, women were taught that their social and economic security depended on marriageability or attractiveness. This created a sense of competition, where shaming others was a way to elevate oneself or protect status. Number three, projection of body hatred. Psychology research shows that women who struggle with body dissatisfaction often project those feelings outward, targeting other women's appearance. This projection normalizes bullying and perpetuates cycles of judgment. So I just want to add a little bit here to this, the projection of body hatred and, projecting securities onto the next woman. You can see a lot of this when it comes to the conversation around whose body is quote unquote natural versus who's had cosmetic surgery. Certain women coming out saying that they are against the BBL trend, others saying that they support it, judging women for whether or not they appear natural or not, who's had Botox, who hasn't, filler and things like that. Like, it's an ongoing conversation amongst women about whether you support it or don't support it. But in not supporting it with commentary, in a way, is a projection of your own insecurity. Because if you are happy with yourself 100%, whether you've had enhancements or not, there's no reason for you to go out of your way to try to make another woman feel bad for having something done or not having anything done. So I definitely can see where the issue of projection comes into the conversation. But I digress. Number four, relational aggression. Unlike physical aggression, women are more likely to use indirect forms of bullying, gossip, exclusion, or ridicule. This mean girl dynamic is socially sanctioned and often seen as a way to gain power in peer groups. So I would like to believe that when they say mean girl, they're specifically speaking to younger females that may be college age, high school age, or younger. But unfortunately, the mean girl concept has made its way into adult circles as well. So I don't know if anyone has ever seen women call other women, oh, she's a mean girl. I think it's been said about a few celebrities as well. Well, oh, she's a mean girl. In real life, she's a mean girl, or she's not a girl's girl, or something like that. But I feel like that speaks to what this is talking about. And last but not least, number five, cultural reinforcement. Media, advertising, and celebrity culture amplify unrealistic standards. Women who deviate, whether by aging naturally, dressing unconventionally, or rejecting beauty norms, become easy targets for ridicule, often by other women who fear being judged themselves. So again, we go back to the projection of body hatred or projecting your own insecurities on other women because, to add to the cosmetic surgery versus natural conversation or, body shaming or age shaming just in general, you have to also add to that conversation women that feel like they're in competition with other women behind dating standards or sexual competition or marriage competition. Because you will hear some women say, well, you can say whatever you want about my body or what I've had done or not, but I'm usually the one that these married men are trying to talk to on the side or whatever. So, you also have to add you also have to add quote unquote side chick culture or mistress culture to this conversation because, again, we're talking about patriarchal standards that are oppressive to women. If this is not a natural rivalry, meaning that women organically we would just simply get along with one another is coming from patriarchal systems. And patriarchal systems are tied to what men want to see women do, or how they want women to dress, or how they want women to behave. So a lot of that is steeped in that. And so you have to broaden this conversation to also include women that want attention from men, women that want trinkets from men, women that want to marry men, women that want to be chosen by men, right? With the whole pick me culture thing, it's that too. It's like, well, I'm a traditional wife. I'm going to be submissive. I'm going to cook. I'm going to clean. I'm going to make everything from scratch. I'm going to be a homebody. I'm going to raise the children. Like, it's that versus women that are more independent, more sovereign, making their own money, or are single and child free, or women that have had physical enhancements versus not. It's a whole thing. But all in all, it's just all not the most positive thing for women to do to other women. And there's psychological and social dynamics to this as well, because there is a general fear of exclusion. Women may shame others to align with dominant norms, again, fearing they'll be excluded if they don't. There's identity policing. Criticizing peer style or age is a way of enforcing acceptable femininity. Power play. Bullying can create a false sense of superiority or control in environments where women otherwise feel powerless. And then you have generational transmission. Mothers or older women sometimes shame younger women, passing down restrictive standards they themselves endured. So I thankfully have not had to deal with any of that within my own family dynamics with the women in my family, but I have seen women, seemingly shaming younger women. And when I say younger women, I'm gonna cap it from like 25 and younger, right? So I am a nail enthusiast. I love to wear really, really long nail extensions. Like, it's been my thing since I was like super young. And so I do follow some nail technician content online, and I recently came across a nail technician who was doing really dope nail art on this 14-year-old girl, and then I think he has a 14-year-old client, and he has a 17-year-old client. And some of the comments are like, oh, she's too young to have those nails. That's a little bit too grown. I don't know why a young girl would need those nails. And other people in the comments like, dude, they're nails. Like, it's not like she's walking around half dressed or scantily clad, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's nothing that should be taken offensively. Like, nails are just a girly thing, and those who get it, and those who don't. But I was so unpleasantly surprised by the backlash that some of the women in the comments were giving towards these young teenage girls. And mind you, you don't know how these young teenage girls are going to be impacted or affected by the comments. Like, you're a grown woman, and yet you're shaming a teenage girl for getting her nails done. And then I think one of the teenage girls actually has a full-time job, and she pays for her own nails. That's neither here nor there, because when I was a teenager, my mom paid for me to get my nails done. Love you, Mom. But it doesn't matter if she pays for her own nails or not. The point is, why are older women sometimes shaming younger women? And this is what this kind of speaks to. It's like, just because when you were her age, you weren't allowed to get your nails done, or maybe you didn't have the means to get your nails done, doesn't mean that you should now turn around and try to shame the next generation for living their best lives and wanting to get their nails done and things like that. So I think, again, that speaks to what I'm talking about when we talk about generational transmission. And then you have the social media amplification, right? Again, platforms like Instagram and TikTok magnify comparison culture, making appearance-based bullying more visible and viral. Again, older women are often attacked for not aging gracefully, while younger women are shamed for being too revealing or trying too hard. And I've seen that too. I've both seen women shame older women that do work out, that do take care of themselves, for wearing certain outfits that they say are, oh, you're trying to dress like a young person, or you're not dressed appropriately for your age, and vice versa, or you're dressing too grown for your age. So it's either you're dressing too grown for your age, or you're dressing too young for your age. But it's never a case where you look great for your age, or you're doing it like, I hope to look like you when I'm where you're at, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's never, there is some positivity, and there's actually a lot of positivity, but the flip side of that is people that want to continuously attack, police, degrade, and demean and disrespect women for simply living their best lives, regardless of what she's wearing or not wearing. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. So you really should mind your business and stay in your lane. And again, the body positivity movement is trying to challenge these cycles, but it's not happening at a big enough scale. And it's almost now, in my opinion, to where the resistance movement is just another kind of cliche movement, to where it's a part of the broader scope, but it's not replacing those patriarchal standards or those oppressive standards of women in general. Because we're talking about something that's been happening since the Victorian era, or even before the Victorian era, sorry. So in one generation, I don't think women can be mentally deprogrammed. I think it's going to be something that's going to take generations of women, but we'll see. But women bullying other women over age, style, or looks is not because they inherently want to, but because, again, cultural systems reward conformity and punish deviation. Bullying becomes a misguided survival tactic in a world that pits women against each other instead of dismantling the standards themselves. So, again, let's add to this, right? What does the data say about single, child-free, and independent women? Are GBs the target of a special type of hate? Drum roll, please. Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Research shows that women who internalize patriarchal or misogynistic beliefs often police and criticize other women who live outside traditional roles, such as being single, child-free, independent, or professionally successful. This hostility, again, stems from internalized misogyny, social conditioning, and the perceived threat those non-conforming women pose to established gender norms. Studies define internalized misogyny as when women adopt sexist beliefs and direct them toward themselves and other women. This can manifest as contempt for women who reject traditional roles. And there's been a policing of non-traditional women. In a 2021 Psych article, it was argued that women renew the power relations of patriarchy by policing each other, especially those who resist conventional expectations like marriage or motherhood. Research highlights that women who embrace independence, running businesses, remaining child-free, or prioritizing careers are often targeted because they disrupt the patriarchal narrative that women's value lies in caregiving and dependency. Some studies show that older women, raised under stricter patriarchal norms, may be harsher toward younger women who live freely, reflecting both envy and internalized cultural scripts. So why does this happen? Well, it's a threat to norms, right? Independent women challenge the idea that femininity equals sacrifice, obedience, motherhood, or nurturing. It's a projection of insecurity. Women who feel trapped in traditional roles may lash out at those who escape them. Social sanctioning. Patriarchal systems reward women who enforce conformity, making them feel virtuous for criticizing others. And then there's the fear of exclusion, right? Aligning with patriarchal values can feel safer. Shaming outsiders reinforces belonging to the acceptable group. And I can say that I've seen this happen. You know, you have women that are maybe more conservative, maybe trad, maybe religious, maybe Christian. You know, they believe in modesty and submission and all these other things, and they sometimes will speak harshly on women that live outside of that, women that are maybe not Christian. You know, maybe they align with a different religion, or maybe they're spiritual and not a part of any specific religion, but they live life on their own terms. And so you do have that feeling of, well, you know, my husband, or that's why I'm married, and some of these women will never be married because of the way that they dress or the way that they behave. Like, it's always that type of thing. So I just wanted to highlight that, because when they mention things like making them feel virtuous, that's exactly what that is, right? It's traditional Christian housewives may feel like they are above women that are single and child-free simply because what they do or their behavior more so aligns itself with patriarchal expectations and that whole value system. And in a way, they may feel like, well, I got the ring. Like, I'm sure some people have seen that. Well, I've got the ring. I'm a wife. Some people have made being a mom or a wife their whole identity. And not to say that being a wife doesn't have value, or that being a mother doesn't have value. But over here, we're GBs for life. So this space is all about single child-free women. So I don't think that a wife and mom should hold more higher standard or more importance in society in terms of respect and boundary when compared to a single child-free woman. Like, if you are a happy mom, a happy wife, Go do that. Why are you even concerned with what single child-free women are doing? It has absolutely no bearings on your relationship, nothing that you have going on. But if you feel threatened, or you have internalized self-hate, or you have insecurities about, what you have going on, or you're worried about competition from other women to try to take your man or anything like that, then yeah, that psychology is going to come out in subtle and not so subtle ways when it talks about the shaming of other women. And, child-free women specifically are often labeled as selfish, unnatural for not choosing motherhood, right? It's usually by peers who internalize the belief that motherhood is a woman's ultimate purpose. Single women are stigmatized as lonely, being failures, despite evidence that many thrive independently. It's always, oh, you're too old, you're dried up, whatever the case may be. But if you are a single woman, especially if you're a single woman over a certain age, you usually can sometimes see those disrespectful comments coming towards you from both men and women, right? And it's a whole mess. And successful entrepreneurial women sometimes are accused of being too aggressive or unfeminine, right? Oh, she's too masculine. She's not resting in her femininity. She wants to be the man in a relationship, whatever the case may be. I'm just throwing things out there. But all in all, I can say that this is definitely the case. And it reflects discomfort with women in positions of power. And again, it goes back to those patriarchal norms. So yes, research confirms my observation that women influenced by patriarchal/misogynistic mental frameworks often express cruelty toward women who live outside traditional roles. And again, this is not natural rivalry, but a learned behavior that sustains patriarchal power structures. And you can even add women that are more so aligned with higher religious fundamentalism, because there is a correlation between women in the U.S. with higher religious fundamentalism have stronger internalized misogyny and hostility toward women who reject traditional gender roles. I'm going to say that again. There was a study of young women in the U.S., and it found that higher religious fundamentalism correlated with stronger internalized misogyny and hostility toward women who reject traditional gender roles. And what did I just say earlier about the term virtuous? That directly ties itself to this study. So they're basically saying the higher a woman is in her religious beliefs, the stronger she is with internalized misogyny and hostility toward women who reject traditional gender roles. Even in progressive contexts, internalized misogyny persists in subtler forms. According to a 2025 paper, it highlighted that patriarchal structures still shape women's attitudes, leading to contempt for those who live outside acceptable norms. So with all of that being said, I know I shared a ton of information. Feel free to go online and do your own follow-up research on this topic. And there's a possibility that this may be an ongoing conversation that we need to continue to have. But with all of that said, what can we do as women? What can we do as GBs when we see it happening to someone or it's being done to us? Now, when I went online to do research to prepare for this, I did ask this general question, and I unfortunately did not like the response that I got about how to address it if it's happening, because I have a bit more of an aggressive approach to how to handle this when it's happening. If it's being done to you or if you witness it happening, I say call it out. You can call it out in a intellectually driven, shady way. I'm not telling you to put yourself in a situation where there could be physical violence, right? I don't ever want to put you in that type of situation. But I do think that there's a way to clap back at a person or snap back at a person and check them without it turning into a whole thing. And one of the ways that I think we can do that is by bringing up the DSM-5 Patriarchal Projection Disorder, PPD. That's right. This is the DSM-5 according to the Glam Bachelorette. So this is the TGB DSM-5, okay? Patriarchal Projection Disorder. Diagnostic criteria: recurrent episodes of hostility, ridicule, or bullying directed at women who live outside traditional patriarchal roles. This is single, child-free, independent, entrepreneurial, or unapologetically authentic women, right? Behavior is motivated by perceived threat, insecurity, or envy when confronted with women thriving outside prescribed norms. Symptoms include excessive gossip about women's age, looks, or style, labeling independent women as selfish, cold, or unfeminine, public or online shaming of women who reject marriage or motherhood, projection of personal dissatisfaction onto others. And when we talk about projection of personal dissatisfaction onto others, it's the behavior causes distress in social environments, perpetuates patriarchal hierarchies, and undermines female solidarity. Not better explained by an actual psychiatric disorder, but by cultural conditioning and internalized misogyny. Associated features: frequent use of phrases like, quote unquote, she'll regret not having kids, or quote unquote, she looks desperate at her age. Heightened anxiety when confronted with women who appear happy outside traditional roles. Reliance on social media trolling as a coping mechanism. And the prevalence of this, it's common in patriarchal societies. It's often transmitted intergenerationally. It peaks in environments where women's worth is narrowly defined by marriage, motherhood, and appearance. And the treatment recommendations for PPD. Number 1, deprogramming therapy. Exposure to diverse models of womanhood. Number 2, solidarity training, encouraging empathy and celebration of differences. Number 3, media detox, reducing consumption of content that glorifies narrow beauty or gender norms. And number 4, community support, joining feminist, body positive, or age positive groups to reframe values. With awareness and cultural change, symptoms can be reduced. Untreated PPD perpetuates cycles of bullying and reinforces patriarchal systems. So yes, as an intellectual snapback or clapback, you could totally say to a woman, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not realize you have PPD. I hope you're seeking treatment. And just let everybody stand there looking confused, like, what in the world? What are you talking about, PPD? Yes, PPD. Patriarchal projection disorder. Okay? And that concludes today's video, ladies. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been judged, bullied, or shamed for age, looks, or style? Or for being single and child-free? Sound off in the comments. You know, I always love to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to check us out online at theglambachelorette.com. We have some really cool stuff happening at our new website. Follow us on all available socials. And remember, be happy, be healthy, and always, 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 always be glamorous.